What's going on YouTube? So when a new Honda Civic comes out, it is a very big deal, since it has long been one of America's favorite sedans. This all-new 11th generation model is promising huge improvements across the board. However, there's another Honda sedan that is also a bestseller, the Accord. These two actually overlap quite a lot on price and features, so it's certainly worth considering. Should I get the all-new tech-laden Civic or the larger refreshed Accord? That's what we're going to find out today. Alright, so as always, let's start off by going over the pricing and equipment levels of these two. Hondas are known for keeping the packaging very simple, so for our all-new Civic, we have the fully loaded touring trim level with no additional options. The only extra charge is the destination cost, which brings the total to $29,295. Now for the updated Accord, we selected the new Sport SE trim level since it aligns nicely to the Civic on price. After factoring in destination and a small paint charge, its final price comes in at an extremely similar $30,070. So now that we know these two cost the same amount of money, let's jump right into this video with the exteriors. The all-new Civic was obviously heavily influenced by its sibling because it looks more like the Accord than ever before. It has adopted a more mature appearance, with a front end that is mostly body colored. Instead of the split grille, the Accord's is a single piece, and it has a smoke chrome that runs across the top. As far as the lighting is concerned, they have a lot in common, since both of them have full LED lighting, even including the turn signals and fog lamps. Now as we move around to the side, you can certainly see the family resemblance continue, but you can also see the size difference of 8.2 inches fully on display. Both have nice looking alloy wheels, but the Accords are 19s, which are an inch larger than Civic. However, all the similarities run out when we get to the back. The Accord continues to have these strange claw-shaped taillights, compared to a new traditional design in the Civic, though both of them are partially LED. The Accord does throw in a lip spoiler and integrated dual exhaust outlets. Now heading on to some of the other features, both models have heated mirrors, but only the Civic includes blind spot monitoring at this price point. Beyond BSM, both models include the entire Honda Sensing Safety suite of safety features, which are full speed adaptive cruise control, auto high beam headlights, lane keeping assist, and forward emergency braking. Alright, so that's it for the exteriors, which means it's now time to check out the substantial differences inside the cabins before we take them out for a test drive. So first, walking up to the cars, both have smart entry systems with key fobs that include remote start. And looking inside for the first time, you'll see that the all-new Civic has adopted a more conventional interior layout this year, with a good amount of influence from the Accord. Obviously, both models have black interiors, and the seats themselves are finished in real leather with heating. However, as far as adjustments, the Accord adds 4-way lumbar support in addition to the 8 ways of power adjustment. Now once fully inside, we can talk about cabin materials, which are excellent and very similar in both. They use soft touch plastic in most of the areas where people will touch, along with faux carbon fiber accents. The vent detailing in the Civic is particularly cool, but the Accord will ultimately eke out the win since it has more leather along the console and on the door trims. Now once they fire up, you'll notice an important difference between them. On the new Civic, it has a full digital gauge cluster, with high-end graphics and top-notch performance. This is something not available on any version of the Accord. And coming back to the steering wheels, the Civic has the newest design and updated switchgear, but as far as features, they are the same. Neither are heated, but the Civic does throw in rain-sensing wipers at this price point. Okay, so the next major thing to talk about is interior storage. Both of these are at the top of their respective classes, which does of course mean that the Accord will come with a deeper and longer center console. However, in the front storage bins, you will probably notice that the Civic has a wireless charging pad at this price point. Heading next to the shifter, both have the traditional kind, and both have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. When in reverse, both have regular backup cameras with active trajectory, the Accords having better resolution, and the Civics throwing in parking sensors. As far as climate controls, both are dual zone automatic, but when we come to the audio systems, there is an important difference. For the first time, Honda is offering a branded audio system on the Civic, which also has 4 more speakers than in the Accord. As you would expect, its sound quality is certainly superior. And now that takes us to the infotainment systems. With the all-new generation, Civic is finally getting the latest Honda Link software that Accord has had since 2018. However, it goes beyond just catching up, since it has the largest touchscreen available in the Honda lineup at 9 inches. It also throws in wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and built-in navigation, which are features only available on higher-end Accords. And wrapping up the front of the cabin, the equipment level of this Civic gives a few more advantages, since it has an auto-dimming mirror with HomeLink remotes, as well as a power sunroof. Now moving to the rear areas, both set at the top of their respective classes. However, that does mean that the larger Accord will have an advantage of about 8% more legroom. Headroom, however, is virtually identical. Taking a look at the features back here, neither of them have vents, but both of them do throw in rear USB ports. The Touring Civic no longer offers heated rear seats for this new generation. Going next to the trunk areas, we see the same thing happen. Unsurprisingly, the larger vehicle has more space, at 16.7 cubic feet versus 14.4 cubic feet in the Civic. Alrighty, that's it for the interiors. But now let's see who pulls out ahead when we take them out on the road for a test drive. So even though these two are close siblings, they don't have a ton of similarities. However, one spot they do is under the hoods. Both of them come with a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. But the Accord's motor makes more horsepower and more torque at 192 horsepower versus 180 horsepower, and 177 versus 192 pound-feet of torque. The Accord is faster as well, if only by a little bit due to its extra weight. So there's our first acceleration, up to about 60 miles an hour with this 2021 Honda Accord. So like with most of the elements on the exterior and the interior, you don't have radical changes as far as the powertrain is concerned. So most of the models, they're going to come standard with the 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder like in other Honda applications, and it continues to make 192 horsepower, 192 pound-feet of torque. There we are, accelerating up to about 60 miles per hour with this all-new generation of the Civic. So as far as the powertrain situation is concerned, it's actually very similar to the outgoing generation with the same two engines. So we have the 2-liter engine on your lower 2 trim levels, and then on your upper 2 trim levels, you have the 1.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder. That's what we have today. And that's going to be making 180 horsepower, 177 pound-feet of torque. That has been revised slightly, so we are up 8 horsepower and up 15 pound-feet of torque.
It feels strong.
Yeah. This is, from driving this around for the last couple days, definitely a very spunky motor, and it feels plenty powerful in a small application like this Civic. Both are front-wheel drive only, and for the transmissions, both come with CVTs. But the Civic now has a shift simulation, which the Accord does not. So let's talk about the transmission. We've got a continuously variable transmission on board. There is no manual option for this sedan anymore, which is a little unfortunate. However, Honda has confirmed that that upcoming hatchback model will be offered with a 6-speed manual, so if you want to shift your own, you will be able to do that in that future product. That being said, they have made some improvements to the CVT. You probably noticed one of those improvements, which is a shift simulation. So if you're heavy on the throttle, we do get a shift simulation, so that's definitely pretty nice to have that, and just gives you a little bit more of an authentic feel. But otherwise, this is a really good CVT anyways, very responsive, especially around town. It's tuned to really give you like a nice spunky start, which makes this feel more powerful than it is. As far as the experience driving these two, they continue to impress. These vehicles both set at the top end of their respective classes, as far as dynamics and handling characteristics are concerned. They are legit fun to hustle around back roads, with lively steering and uncommon agility. And speaking of exciting, kind of going around that corner reminds me, I definitely want to talk about the dynamics behind the Accord. Thankfully, Honda did not mess with this area because, you can debate which midsize sedan is the best driving, but no matter who you ask, they're definitely going to say the Accord is at the very top of the class. But let's go ahead and get into the dynamics of this, because Mason kind of started to talk about it, but they are stellar. Frankly, the Civic has always been just right up there as with the Mazda 3 basically as the best, and this here, it's even better than before. I mean, it seems crazy that they've actually made this better, but it really just stands far apart from the appliance competitors that are mostly out there. As we go around some of the corners, you'll see just how flat it corners. Like, it's really impressive. We have driven, obviously plenty of really quick and sporty cars, but how flat this is just puts a grin on your face. And this is a touring Civic. The larger Accord does have some advantages though, namely that the ride quality is smoother on bumpy roads, and that it's quieter at highway speeds, even after factoring in the rougher road.
But just cruising along here, I do want to discuss, this is a mid-size sedan, so obviously this is what you're going to be doing most of the time, is just cruising down a highway going around 60 miles an hour. The Accord has always really impressed me in this area because it has a absolutely fantastic and super comfortable suspension, and it really just puts comfort at the forefront, even if you're in a sport trim like this. And I will go ahead and get a sound level reading so we can see how quiet it is in here.
We're going to take it at 55.
So going at 55 miles an hour, we're looking at 57.5 decibels, which that's very solid. And I will get a sound level reading going 55. The road is quite rough, so I wouldn't expect this to be too quiet. But
yeah, it's going to throw it off a little bit, I think.
$59.5.
Finally, as far as fuel economy, the smaller Civic pulls out the win here, at 34 mpg combined versus 32. So there you have it, That concludes one of our closest comparisons ever. These two siblings battle it out the entire way through, each with distinct advantages over the other for the same price. Let us know in the comments below which of these excellent choices you'd choose for $30,000. Thanks for joining us for another Car Confections comparison, and be sure to subscribe for more comparisons coming up with this all-new Civic as well as many other vehicles. Take care and stay safe.